A $19.7 million bond. That's what it costs to keep a crass dummy out of prison when your brother is NBA Youngboy. But here's the crazy part. This ain't even Ddawg's first rodeo with dodging life sentences. This man caught his first murder charge at 14 years old, been hit with multiple attempted murders, led cops on high-speed chases, and just killed his own homie while running from undercover police. Yet somehow he's still walking free, posting on Instagram like nothing happened. How is that even possible? See, DDPG's story exposes something way more sinister than just money-buying freedom. We're talking about a system that took a mentally impaired kid. Doctors say he functions like a 10-year-old. And instead of getting him help, they threw him in adult prison and created Baton Rouge's most dangerous liability. From Hurricane Katrina refugee to NBA Youngboy's most loyal soldier, Ddawg has been crashing out for over a decade and somehow keeps landing on his feet. But that fatal night in October changed everything. Picture this: undercover cops chasing Ddawg through Baton Rouge while blasting Fredo Bang music, his ops music, trying to mess with his head. Ddawg panics, floors it, crashes the whip, and kills his own homie in the process. That should have been game over, right? Life sentence, no parole, case closed. Instead, Youngboy drops nearly $20 million to get his boy out, and now Ddawg is back on the streets while his friend's family plans a funeral. Stay with me till the end of this video, because I'm about to break down exactly how NBA Ddawg keeps dodging life sentences and why this case proves that in America, your freedom depends more on your bank account than your crimes. To understand how Ddawg became the person he is today, we gotta go back to the beginning. Born DeAndre Fields, Ddawg didn't start life in Baton Rouge like most people think. He's actually from New Orleans. But when Hurricane Katrina destroyed the city in 2005, his family packed up and moved to Baton Rouge like thousands of other displaced families. Now here's where it gets interesting. Ddawg was just a kid when they moved, but according to his own testimony, he was already dealing with serious issues. His mother claims that when he was young, Ddawg got hit by a car while riding his bike. After that accident, she says he started having severe behavior problems. This wasn't just typical kid acting out. We're talking about documented cognitive issues that would follow him for the rest of his life. The medical evaluations that came later would reveal something crucial. Ddawg had the mental capacity of a 10-year-old child. Think about that for a second. A grown man's body with a child's mind, trying to navigate one of the most dangerous cities in America. It's a recipe for disaster, and disaster is exactly what followed. Growing up in Baton Rouge's roughest neighborhoods, Ddawg was surrounded by violence and street politics that his limited cognitive abilities couldn't properly process. While other kids his age were learning to assess risks and make calculated decisions, Ddawg was operating on pure impulse and childlike reasoning. He couldn't read situations properly, couldn't recognize threats until it was too late, and most importantly, couldn't understand the long-term consequences of his actions. This is where NBA Youngboy enters the picture, and their connection goes way deeper than most people realize. Ddawg and Youngboy didn't meet when Youngboy was already famous. They connected when they were both just young cats trying to survive in Baton Rouge's unforgiving streets. According to Ddawg himself, they met when they were babies, practically growing up together in the same environment. But what made their bond special wasn't just proximity, it was authenticity. While other people around Youngboy might have had ulterior motives or hidden agendas, Ddawg's loyalty was pure and uncomplicated. He wasn't trying to become a rapper himself, wasn't looking for handouts, wasn't positioning himself for anything except genuine friendship. Youngboy recognized something in Ddawg that others might have missed. Here was someone whose loyalty was absolute, whose devotion was childlike in its purity. Like a child who forms deep attachments to protective figures, Ddawg's connection to Youngboy went beyond normal friendship into something almost familial. The crazy part? They were literally rapping to each other through jail cell doors. Ddawg tells the story of being locked up in 2012 when he was just 14 and Youngboy was in there too. They'd rap back and forth underneath the doors and Youngboy told him straight up, "D, I ain't gonna lie, I'm finna blow up with this rap shit. I'ma come get you." 5 years later, guess what happened? Youngboy was knocking at that prison door and Ddawg was walking out. That's the kind of loyalty we're dealing with here. A promise made in a juvenile detention center that was kept when Youngboy reached the top of the rap game. Chapter 3. The first murder case. Now let's talk about what put Ddawg behind bars in the first place, because this case shows you everything you need to know about how the system handles mentally impaired defendants. November 6th, 2012. Ddawg is 14 years old. He's with his older brother Ben and their cousin Juan, and they're about to commit a crime that will change all their lives forever. Earlier that day, Ben's girlfriend, Tameka, drove them to Juan's apartment to pick up weapons, an AK-47, a sawed-off shotgun, and a pistol. They put on ski masks and headed to a house on Wyandotte Street. According to Juan's later testimony, and remember Juan flipped and testified against his own family to save himself, they walked up to Derek's house wearing those ski masks and carrying those guns. Juan kicked in the door and started shooting. Derek's wife and daughter ran out the back to call 911, but it was too late. Derek died that night at a local hospital. But here's the crazy part. In all the chaos, Ddawg accidentally shot Juan 4 times. Think about that. A 14-year-old with the mental capacity of a 10-year-old in a high-stress situation accidentally shoots his own cousin. Ben and Ddawg had to help Juan limp back to the car, and they threw all the evidence in a gas station dumpster before rushing Juan to the hospital. The prosecution had everything they needed: DNA evidence on the masks, witness testimony, physical evidence at the scene. Ddawg's brother Ben got convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. But Ddawg's case was different, and this is where the system's failure becomes crystal clear. Chapter 4: The System's Failure. When it came time for Ddawg's trial, his cognitive limitations should have been a game changer. A juvenile court judge initially ruled that Ddawg had the mind of a 10-year-old and shouldn't be tried as an adult. This should have meant treatment, rehabilitation, psychiatric care, everything a mentally impaired child would need to have any chance at a normal life. But the prosecution wasn't having it. They appealed the decision, arguing that there was clear and convincing evidence that there is no substantial opportunity for Ddawg to be rehabilitated. An appeals court reversed the juvenile court's decision, and Ddawg was tried as an adult. Let me break down how insane this is. You have medical professionals saying this kid functions like a 10-year-old, but prosecutors are arguing he's too dangerous to be treated like the child he mentally is. The parish attorney said, to adequately protect the public, he needs to be tried as an adult. It's highly unusual to take this action, but under the circumstances, I think I'd be remiss in not taking him over to state court. So instead of getting the psychiatric treatment and specialized care he desperately needed, Ddawg was thrown into adult prison at 14 years old. Instead of being surrounded by child psychiatrists and rehabilitation specialists, he was surrounded by hardcore criminals. The very system that was supposed to protect a mentally impaired child instead created the perfect environment to make him worse. Ddawg was sentenced to 10 years, and those 10 years turned him from a confused kid into what many would later call Baton Rouge's biggest crash dummy. Chapter 5: Prison made him worse. If you thought prison would calm Ddawg down or help him mature, you'd be dead wrong. His cognitive limitations made him a target and a problem from day one. He caught additional charges while inside for battery on an officer and resisting with force or violence. According to someone who was locked up with him, Ddawg would fight guards while completely naked, getting pepper sprayed and still swinging. This isn't normal prison behavior. This is someone with serious mental health issues not getting the treatment he needs. But here's what's wild. Ddawg's behavior actually made him fit right in with NBA Youngboys crew. Youngboys come up was legendary for its violence and chaos. The beef with TBG turned Baton Rouge into a war zone. G-Money got killed. Youngboy's cousin Boozilla and his manager Dump were murdered. Youngboy's girlfriend caught a bullet meant for him. In that environment, having someone like Ddawg, completely loyal but completely unpredictable, was both an asset and a liability. There's viral footage from a Youngboy show in 2018 where someone in the crowd was allegedly throwing stuff on stage. Youngboy points them out, and Ddawg immediately jumps into the audience and starts throwing hands. No hesitation, no questions asked. That's the kind of blind loyalty Youngboy could count on, but it's also the kind of impulsive behavior that keeps landing Ddawg in trouble. Chapter 6: The Attempted Murder Charge. Fast forward to September 2023, and Ddawg catches another attempted murder charge for a shooting that allegedly happened back in 2018. This is how the system works. They'll let cases sit for years, then hit you with charges when you least expect it. Ddawg's bond was set at $300,000, which for most people would be impossible. But when your brother is NBA Youngboy, $300,000 is pocket change. Ddawg posted bond within days and was back on the streets. But freedom didn't last long, and what happened next shows you exactly why Ddawg is considered such a crash dummy. While out on bond for attempted murder, he got pranked by a comedian on the street. The comedian walked up to Ddawg and his homie saying, "I'm a real street naya. I'm the original chain snatcher." Most people would either ignore it or laugh it off. Ddawg turned around and told the comedian, "You gon' get your ass painted. You gon' get stuck." Luckily, the comedian realized he picked the wrong person to prank and got out of there because there's no telling what Ddawg would have done. This incident perfectly illustrates Ddawg's problem. He can't distinguish between real threats and harmless pranks. His cognitive limitations mean he reacts to everything like it's life or death, which in his environment often leads to actual life or death situations. Chapter 7. The Fatal Night. October 15th, 2023. This is the date that should have ended Ddawg's freedom forever. He was riding through Baton Rouge with his homie when what started as a routine night.
Mangled metal and car fragments are all that's left after Darian Bailey refused to stop for police and slammed into a car on Winborn Monday afternoon. A passenger inside the car Bailey was driving died.
Turned into a nightmare that would leave one person dead and Ddawg facing nearly $20 million in bond. Now here's where Ddawg's version of events gets interesting, and it shows you just how paranoid and confused his mental state really is. According to Ddawg, he was driving through his neighborhood when an unmarked police vehicle started following him. But this wasn't just regular surveillance. Ddawg claims the undercover officers were blasting Fredo Bang music while tailing him. For those who don't know, Fredo Bang is NBA Youngboys' biggest enemy. The beef between NBA and Fredo Bang isn't just rap rivalry, it's life and death. Bodies have dropped over this conflict, and Ddawg knew that better than most. So when he heard Fredo Bang music pumping from what he believed was an undercover police car, his mind immediately went to the worst case scenario. "I was scared for my life," Ddawg explained later. "They was playing Fredo Bang music loud as hell, following me around. I thought they was trying to set me up, or worse." Now, whether this actually happened or whether Ddawg's paranoia and cognitive limitations made him imagine threats that weren't there, we may never know. But what we do know is that Ddawg made the split-second decision to run, with his homie in the passenger seat probably not even understanding why they were suddenly racing through Baton Rouge streets at dangerous speeds. Ddawg pressed the gas and tried to outrun what he believed was a setup. The chase didn't last long, but it lasted long enough to be fatal. Ddawg lost control of the vehicle and crashed. When the dust settled, his passenger, his friend, his brother, someone who trusted him enough to ride shotgun, was dead. The aftermath was immediate and brutal. Emergency responders arrived to find a scene of complete devastation. Ddawg survived the crash, but his legal situation had just gone from bad to impossible. What started as existing bond conditions had now escalated to vehicular homicide charges. When the judge set Ddawg's bond at $19.7 million, it sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community and beyond. That's not just a high bond, that's a statement bond, the kind of number designed to keep someone locked up indefinitely. For most people, a $19.7 million bond might as well be $19.7 billion. But Ddawg wasn't most people. He was family to NBA Youngboy, one of the most successful and loyal artists in hip-hop. And when family is in trouble, Youngboy doesn't hesitate to step up no matter the cost. The news that NBA Youngboy had posted Ddawg's $19.7 million bond spread through the hip-hop world like wildfire. To put that number in perspective, that's more money than most people will see in multiple lifetimes. That's more than the GDP of some small countries. That's the kind of money that changes generations. And Youngboy spent it to keep his friend out of jail. This is where we get to the heart of the matter. How NBA Ddawg keeps dodging life sentences. It's not just about the money, though the money is obviously crucial. It's about having someone with unlimited resources who's willing to spend whatever it takes to keep you free. Think about it. Ddawg has been arrested for murder, attempted murder, vehicular manslaughter, weapons charges, and countless other offenses. Any regular person with his record would be doing life without parole. But Ddawg has something most defendants don't have: NBA Youngboys loyalty and NBA Youngboys money. Every time Ddawg gets arrested, Youngboy steps in with bail money, legal representation, and emotional support. Every time Ddawg gets out, he returns to Youngboy's circle with his loyalty intact and his gratitude obvious. It's a cycle that's been repeating for over a decade, and it shows no signs of stopping. The $19.7 million bond payment also raised serious questions about the justice system and how wealth can influence outcomes. While Ddawg was able to walk free pending trial, countless other defendants with similar charges remain locked up simply because they don't have access to millions of dollars. The disparity highlights the two-tiered nature of American justice, where your freedom often depends more on your bank account than the strength of your case. But here's what makes Ddawg's case even more complex: his documented cognitive limitations. Throughout all these legal troubles, the fact remains that medical professionals have determined Ddawg functions with the mental capacity of a 10-year-old child. Think about what that means in practical terms. Ddawg makes decisions based on childlike reasoning. He trusts the wrong people because he can't recognize their ulterior motives. He finds himself in dangerous situations because he lacks the cognitive ability to assess risks properly. He reacts to perceived threats with the emotional regulation of a child, not an adult. This condition isn't just a legal strategy or an excuse. It's a documented medical reality that explains many of his behavioral patterns and decision-making processes. Ddawg would often make impulsive choices without fully understanding the consequences, which is exactly what happened on that fatal night in October. The tragic irony is that this condition, which should have been grounds for additional support and protection, instead became another factor that made him more vulnerable to both street predators and the criminal justice system. Instead of receiving the specialized care and supervision he needed, Ddawg was processed through the same system designed for fully competent adults, with predictably devastating results. Throughout their friendship, Ddawg's legal troubles created a recurring pattern that shows just how deep Youngboy's loyalty runs. Each time Ddawg got locked up, Youngboy would step in with bail money, legal representation, and emotional support. Each time Ddawg got out, he would return to Youngboy's circle with his loyalty intact. This pattern wasn't just about money, though Youngboy certainly spent significant amounts keeping Ddawg out of jail over the years. It was about family, about the code that governs Youngboy's inner circle, and about the responsibility that comes with being the successful one in a group of people who grew up with nothing. Youngboy understood Ddawg's limitations better than most people and took on the role of protector and guide. He knew that Ddawg's loyalty was genuine, but that his judgment was impaired, which made Youngboy feel even more responsible for his friend's well-being and safety. The musical tribute, Free D, wasn't just a throwaway song. It was a full musical statement about their friendship and Youngboy's commitment to standing by his people no matter what. The track served multiple purposes. It was a public declaration of loyalty, a message to Ddawg that he wasn't forgotten, and a statement to the world about the values that guide Youngboy's relationships. Ddawg's story raises uncomfortable questions about how our society handles mentally impaired individuals who get caught up in the criminal justice system. Here's someone who was identified as having severe cognitive limitations at age 14, yet instead of receiving treatment and support, he was thrown into adult prison and left to fend for himself. The system had multiple opportunities to intervene and provide Ddawg with the specialized care he needed. Instead, each interaction with law enforcement and the courts made his situation worse. He went from a confused kid with behavioral problems to what many now call Baton Rouge's biggest crash dummy. The fact that Ddawg keeps avoiding life sentences isn't just about NBA Youngboy's money. It's also about a system that doesn't know how to handle cases like his. Prosecutors want to lock him up forever, but they're dealing with someone who literally doesn't have the mental capacity to fully understand his actions or their consequences. As of now, Ddawg is out on that record-breaking $19.7 million bond, but his legal troubles are far from over. He's facing vehicular manslaughter charges for his friend's death. Plus, the attempted murder charge from 2018 is still hanging over his head. The psychological trauma of being responsible for a friend's death cannot be overstated. Ddawg didn't just lose a passenger in that crash, he lost someone who trusted him, someone who was probably just trying to enjoy a night out, someone whose family will never be the same. The guilt, shame, and regret from that moment would haunt anyone, but for someone with the cognitive capacity of a 10-year-old, the emotional impact is even more devastating. Meanwhile, the hip-hop community continues to debate whether Youngboy's loyalty is admirable or enabling. Some praise his willingness to stand by his friend no matter what, seeing it as evidence of real brotherhood in an industry known for fake relationships. Others argue that constantly bailing Ddawg out prevents him from facing the consequences of his actions and potentially getting the help he needs. What makes Ddawg's situation even more tragic is that it's not isolated within his family. His brother Cleveland recently turned himself in for murdering a 14-year-old kid named Dion Williams. Cleveland allegedly shot Dion multiple times with an AK-47 in a grocery store parking lot, supposedly because Dion was bullying one of Cleveland's family members. The surveillance footage showed that Dion was unarmed, and Cleveland also shot at 3 bystanders before handing the AK to his homie and leaving the scene. Dion was a 7th grader who had just made his school's basketball team. His mother said, "I'm going to really miss that I'm not going to be able to call him anymore." Me being a parent of a 14-year-old, getting calls saying it's your son being shot down, it really hurts. Just hours after Dion was killed, someone shot and killed his friend Sean George II. The police think the shootings are connected, showing just how deep the violence runs in Ddawg's family. This brings us to the central question. How does NBA Ddawg keep dodging life sentences, and is it right? On one hand, you have someone with documented cognitive limitations who's been failed by every system that was supposed to help him. Ddawg was identified as mentally impaired at 14, but instead of receiving treatment, he was thrown into adult prison. Instead of getting psychiatric care, he was surrounded by hardcore criminals. Instead of learning coping mechanisms, he learned survival tactics. On the other hand, you have someone whose actions have resulted in real harm to real people. A man is dead because Ddawg couldn't control his impulses. Families have been destroyed because Ddawg can't distinguish between real threats and imagined ones. Communities live in fear because Ddawg has access to weapons and the willingness to use them. The answer isn't simple, and that's what makes this case so complex. Ddawg is simultaneously a victim of systemic failure and a perpetrator of serious crimes. He's someone who needs help, but also someone who poses a genuine danger to public safety. The role of wealth in justice. What Ddawg's case clearly demonstrates is how wealth can fundamentally alter the trajectory of criminal cases. Without NBA Youngboys' money, Ddawg would have been sitting in jail for years awaiting trial. With it, he's been able to post bond on charges that would keep most people locked up indefinitely. This isn't necessarily corruption, it's how the system is designed to work. If you can afford bail, you get to remain free while fighting your case. If you can afford top-tier legal representation, you get better outcomes. If you have unlimited resources, you can fight charges that would crush someone with a public defender. The $19.7 million bond wasn't just about keeping Ddawg out of jail. It was about sending a message. It showed that Youngboy's loyalty isn't just for show, that he's willing to risk generational wealth to stand by his people. But it also highlighted the fundamental inequality in our justice system, where your freedom often depends more on your connections than your culpability. So what happens next for NBA Ddawg? His legal cases are still pending, and despite Youngboy's financial support, the evidence against him is substantial. The vehicular manslaughter charge carries serious time, and the attempted murder case from 2018 is still hanging over his head. But if history is any indication, Ddawg will continue to find ways to avoid the life sentence that many believe he deserves. Whether through plea deals, legal technicalities, or simply the power of unlimited resources, he's shown a remarkable ability to escape the consequences of his actions. The question is whether this pattern can continue indefinitely. At some point, even NBA Youngboys' money and loyalty might not be enough to save Ddawg from himself. The system can only bend so far before it breaks, and Ddawg's case is testing those limits. Ddawg's story is ultimately about more than just one man's legal troubles. It's about how we as a society handle mental illness, how wealth influences justice, and how loyalty can sometimes become enabling. It's about a system that identified a mentally impaired child and chose punishment over treatment. It's about communities so violent that having the mind of a 10-year-old doesn't protect you from adult consequences. It's about friendships so deep that someone will risk everything to keep you free, even when freedom might not be what's best for you. Most importantly, it's about the question of whether true justice is possible when the playing field is so fundamentally unequal. Ddawg keeps dodging life sentences not because he's innocent, but because he has resources that most defendants can only dream of. So there you have it, the complete breakdown of how NBA Ddawg keeps dodging life sentences. From his troubled childhood in post-Katrina New Orleans to his current legal battles in Baton Rouge, Ddawg's story is one of systemic failure, unwavering loyalty, and the power of unlimited resources. The man has been arrested for murder, attempted murder, vehicular manslaughter, and countless other charges, yet he continues to walk free. Not because he's innocent, but because he has NBA Youngboy in his corner, and Youngboy has proven he's willing to spend whatever it takes to keep his brother out of prison. Whether you see this as an inspiring example of loyalty or a troubling example of how money can buy freedom, one thing is clear. Ddawg's story is far from over. With pending charges and a history of making impulsive decisions, it's only a matter of time before he's back in the headlines. What do you think? Is NBA Youngboy's loyalty admirable or enabling? Should Ddawg be in prison for life, or does his mental condition warrant different treatment? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop's most controversial figures. Until next time, this is your boy signing off. Stay safe out there. And remember, in the streets, loyalty is everything. But sometimes the most loyal thing you can do is let someone face the consequences of their actions.